In this video, I'm going to teach you 3 one-handed binds, and these are more laceration style binds, and what I mean by that is you're going to pull the yo-yo up and either whip the string into the gap of the yo-yo or pull the yo-yo into the string to activate the bind. So the first one I'm going to show you is a basic laceration bind, which looks like this. The second one, you're going to pull the yo-yo into the string from the outside like this, and then the third one is a one-handed sky bind, which looks like this. And so let's just get started with the laceration bind. So the first thing that you need to know is that this bind does not start with a breakaway like a normal laceration. You actually need the yo-yo spinning the opposite direction. And so you're going to turn your body and do a front style throw like this. And then once the yo-yo is spinning this way, you can pretty much just do a basic laceration and that will execute the bind. But as you're working on this, there's a lot of techniques that will help you get the bind more clean and more consistent. So the first thing that you want to do is, unlike a laceration where you whip the string into the gap of the yo-yo, what you really want to do is you just want to position the string under the yo-yo, and then the yo-yo will fall down into the string, just like this. The reason you don't want to whip the string into the gap is that will cause the string to wrap around the yo-yo several times, and if you do that, you'll see that you'll get a really nasty tail that can get you knots sometimes, and at the very least you might have to clear the yo-yo a couple of times before you can execute your next trick. And it's always best with binds to try to find a way to hit them clean. So if you position the string underneath the yo-yo, what you'll find is that as the yo-yo falls into the string, the tail will naturally start to wrap around the yo-yo, which is what you want. And at the moment that the tail starts wrapping around the yo-yo, to complete the bind, you want to pull up with your yo-yo hand. And what that'll do is that will either keep the string from wrapping into the gap of the yo-yo, which could cause that snag that we showed you earlier. Or if it does wrap in, when you pull, it'll actually pull the tail back out, but still execute the bind so that it can be clean. Now, with this bind, the biggest problem that we found people have is that they either whip too much of the string into the gap so that it travels around the yo-yo several times like we already showed, or they pull up a little bit too early, and that tends to have the same effect, where the string ends up going around the yo-yo too many times. Sometimes the yo-yo will just fall right down because it's just not grabbing onto the string like that. The second problem that people can have is they're not whipping enough string into the gap, so there's not enough tail to actually execute the bind. And to keep this from happening, what you can do is try to land the yo-yo on the string right next to your finger, and you can see how close that is when I do that, and that'll allow enough tail to be in place so you can execute the bind. Now, once you've got that one, you can move on to this the side style bind. And this one starts with a breakaway. And what you're going to do with this one is you're going to swing the yo-yo to the outside, and then you're going to pull it in towards yourself. And you can see when I do that, the yo-yo is passing right about here, almost in front of my face, but above the top part of my chest. And that's where you want it in order to set up your hands for the rest of the bind. And all you're really going to do is, as the yo-yo is passing across, you're just going to position your yo-yo finger right over the gap so that the yo-yo hits the string and will execute the bind. And this one is pretty much as simple as that. The tough part is just getting a controlled enough throw in order to hit the string. And then you can also see that I'm also pulling my hand up when the yo-yo hits the string. And it's the same type of idea where the string is going to bend around the yo-yo a little bit, and at a certain point, that's when you pull up. And so you're going to have to experiment with that for yourself. And with a more grippy response pad, then you're going to want to pull up a little bit earlier, and with less grippy yo-yos, you might want to wait a little bit longer so more of the tail can get around the yo-yo, and you'll just have to feel that out. So the last bind that we're going to do also starts with a breakaway. And this one, what you want to do is you want to pull the yo-yo straight up, and as you do that, you're going to simultaneously position the string above the yo-yo, and then when the yo-yo hits the string, you're going to pull, and that'll execute the bind. Now with this one, getting the yo to go straight up and to get the string in position can be kind of tricky. And so what I do is I usually swing the yo-yo to the outside a little bit, and then I pull across my body. And when I do that, you can see that the two forces kind of counter each other, and the yo-yo more or less goes straight up, which is what you want. That also starts to get the string into position so that you can see the yo-yo can push up into the string. Now, the last part of this is as the yo-yo is pushing up into the string and as the yo-yo is still going upward, what you want to do is pull either straight across or down just a little bit and that will execute the bind. So as you're practicing each of these different binds, you're going to want to keep in mind some of the things that we said about checking the timing when you pull up with your hand, and that's going to change depending on how aggressive your response system is, what kind of yo-yo you have, things like that. But one problem that occurs frequently with laceration style binds that doesn't always happen with other types of binds is axle knots. And an axle knot happens whenever the two string segments from the tail, when one of those segments, instead of going into the gap of the yo-yo, it actually travels around the outside of one of the yo-yo halves, and that eventually creates a knot when you bring the yo-yo back up. And so there's two things that you can do to help avoid this when you're practicing these. The first thing is make sure that you have neutral string tension, and that'll keep the string from kind of flopping all over the place when you're doing the bind. And the second thing is to just keep everything perfectly in line. If everything's perfectly in line with the gap, then one of those segments isn't going to get off and travel on the outside of the yo-yo. And that should help solve the problem. This is just another one of those things that as you practice each bind, it's going to take some practice to keep it all straight. So you should just kind of naturally see this happening less and less. So those are our 3 one-handed laceration style binds. And so the first one that I'm going to show you is a basic laceration bind, which looks like this.